Come on in, pull up a chair, and take a load off because today I'll be reviewing and sharing a wee bit of a how to play for villagers from Sinister Fish Games. So, is this light engine building game of rebuilding a village following the Black Death worthy of joining your collection? Or should you basically avoid this game like the plague? Well, you're going to find out right after this. Howdy, 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 gang. Welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. As I mentioned in the open, I will be reviewing Villagers in just a moment. But first off, I do want to remind you that if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang if you haven't already, and if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Because not only will it let you know when I upload videos such as this, it'll also inform you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. So we are going to dive on into Villagers, which is from Sinister Fish Games. It's designed by Haakon Gaarder with artwork provided by the designer. The game is for 1 to 5 players, ages 10 and up, plays in about 30 to 60 minutes. It does carry an MSRP of $26. Do want to mention the fine folks over at Sinister Fish were kind enough to send me this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with the Gaming Gang has received any sort of compensation outside the review copy for me to provide you with my thoughts. That said, bang, here we go. Here is Villagers. So I do have this set up. I've got it kind of squeezed in here so we can get it all in one shot. So essentially, Villagers is a relatively light engine building game. So each of the players is representing the founders of a village. It's the Middle Ages. It's the medieval era, and the Black Death has swept through the land, and you are going to start your own new village. You are the founders of a new village during that period. Strangely enough, the artwork is actually pretty light-hearted for being, supposedly during the period of the Black Death. Anyway, I mean, that's okay. I just thought it was a little odd, but that's all right. So essentially, what you're going to be doing is you are going to be drafting cards, and then you're going to be building your village utilizing the villagers. So you're not actually building buildings. You're recruiting villagers to take residence in your village. So first off, let's talk component quality here. Cards, really, really nicely done. They are a linen finish. They're a little thin, not terribly thin, but that linen finish does help. I would recommend sleeving these cards. Even though the cards are very nice, you're going to shuffle these cards up quite a bit if you end up playing this game repeatedly. So that is something I do want to point out. We've got the different coins. So we've got these cardstock coins here. We've got a lot of them as well. Those are nicely done. Artwork is cool. Like I said, it's a little lighthearted. It's like during the plague. But we've got a really cool box, I thought, to carry everything in. In fact, when you open it up, you've actually got these little tuck boxes inside. We've got dividers to separate the cards out. There are a lot of different ways for you to be able to play Villagers as well. So there is solitaire. So we do have the solitaire game is basically you're you're competing against this evil countess. So we've got these extra decks of cards that you're going to utilize. I have this set up for a 3-player game. It took me a second. I was like, what a second. How many? So yes, I do have it set up for a 3-player game. You can play up to 5. So if you're going to have 4 or 5 players, you're going to actually add in some additional cards to your mix. And my copy actually included a Kickstarter expansion pack that had 4 little expansions for villagers. I thought that was very cool. And here's the rule book. Rule book's nicely laid out. Plenty of examples. Lots of images throughout. Pretty easy to understand. But one thing I do want to point out is there are changes to the way the game plays. Not major, but small changes depending on the number of players. So if you're playing a 2-player game, you're going to do things a little bit differently. If you're going to play, obviously, a solitaire game, it's a lot different. But you do want to make sure that you pay attention to the specific rules. I got to be honest, the solitaire game I have not played, but it does look pretty substantial. And I was very, very impressed just looking through the solo mode rules. So very cool rule book. Like I said, everything was pretty clear. Didn't really have any issues trying to figure anything out. So the cards that we have, this is what's known as the road right up here. So I'm going to kind of separate this out because this is where my village is going to kind of be built. So this is the road. We've got these villagers here. These villagers are always available to the players. We've got a miner, a hayer, a lumberjack. You'll also notice that we do have the colored strips. So there is color coding for each of these suits. They're effectively suits. And so we have ore, hay, and wood. Now we also have other villagers available as well. So for an example, like the carpenter is a wood character. The cooper is a wood character. We also have some indications of how many cards can be stacked on top of this. Some can't have any cards stacked on top. Some you can have multiple cards. We also do have kind of a production line on some of the cards as well. So for an example, looking at this blacksmith here, it says miner, blacksmith. So you would have to have a miner card in order to build the blacksmith, and the blacksmith would go on top of the miner card. So just to keep that in mind. I'll kind of show you a little bit of that as well. I'm not going to go really deep into this how to play simply because I know Rodney Smith has already done a really nice how to play out there that a lot of people have checked out. Makes it really clear how to play the game. And I'm sure there's other reviews floating out there where people have shown you how to play the game. This game is not brand new. This game did come out in 2019. But like I said, the fine folks over at Sinister Fish Games were kind enough to send me this review copy. And they just recently completed a successful Kickstarter for a game called Streets, where you're actually building streets of different buildings and things like that. Looks like it's another kind of an engine building game. Looks very interesting. Like I said, that successfully kickstarted. But we're not here to talk about streets. We're here to talk about villagers. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all of the various different suits. So we've got special, we've got wood, we've got hay, solitary, we've got ore, we've got grapes right up there. I think that's it. Grains as well. And with the 3-player game, once again, if you're playing 4 or 5, you would also have leather and you would have wool. So all of these cards, all these suits are going to all be added into one big deck and shuffled up. You have these starting cards. So these cards, these villagers are always going to be available at the start of the game. So we got a thatcher, a harvester, blacksmith, cooper, poultier, and a carpenter. So there are multiples of some. We already know we've got the miner, the hayer, and the lumberjack. We've got those cards that are out there. that you can always get until they run out. But there are some like special, solitary. Some are just individual kinds of characters, which I really like, because it starts to get to the point where everybody's village is kind of different. It's not as if they're all the same. Granted, yes, there's going to be some cards that, some characters that will be repeated, but not a ton. So I like that a lot. So what you end up doing, just quick talk about how to set up. You're going to take your deck of cards that you've shuffled all those suits together in, and you're going to lay out your 6 road cards, and then you're going to take the deck here, and you're going to deal out 6 stacks of cards. Each stack is going to contain twice as many cards as the number of players. As an example, this is a 3-player game setup. Each of these stacks have 6 cards. Each of your players are going to get a hand of 5 cards dealt to them to start off with. So that is going to be your starting hand. You don't have a hand limit in this game. You do have limits to how many cards can be drafted in a round. You also have a limit to how many villagers can be added to your village effectively in the build phase. I'll talk about that in a moment. So anyway, you're going to just take the rest of those cards. You're going to put them right here. Everybody's going to get 8 coins. So strangely enough, these are referred to as gold, yet the different denominations are not gold. So it threw off some of the players because we have kind of bronze, we have silver, we have gold with a brown circle in it. So twice, two of the gang in 2 different games that each of them had played separately. They weren't both in the same games. Somebody said, well, why are they calling this gold? This isn't gold. I was like, all right, just relax. It's like, come on, we'll call them coins. So effectively what you're going to do is you are going to build your village. By the time all of these cards up top here are gone, once these stacks are gone, whoever's got the most money is the winner. If it's a tie, and that doesn't happen too often, but if there is a tie, then whoever has the fewest villagers and the most money is the winner. If it's tied after that, then it's just a tie. All right, so essentially we've got this little village square right here, and you're going to leave that out because this is going to help you as far as to remind you how many cards you've got as far as drafting and how many cards you've got as far as building. Those are the 2 phases in each round. Now, what's going to happen here is that as you go through these cards, once this stack is gone, you're going to have a first market day, and that's where you're going to score money. After this last stack here is gone, you're going to have a second market day. You're going to score coins again, and then the game ends. And I'll show you how you go about doing that. A couple other things that I want to point out about some of these cards is we've already talked about some of them have stacking. Some of them have prerequisites that you need to have before you can actually bring that person into your village. There are a lot of the characters have that. So for an example, this Thatcher here needs a hayer. The blacksmith needs a miner. The cooper needs a lumberjack. The poulterer needs founders, which everybody's going to have founders. And then the carpenter needs a lumberjack. You'll also see some cards like right here. We have these padlocks, which basically means you must also have a specific character. So we have blacksmith here for the cooper, carpenter for the poulterer. Here's the interesting twist to this. So if you don't have a blacksmith, but somebody else has a blacksmith, you're going to pay them 2 gold or 2 coins. Let's just call them coins, right? I don't want to confuse anybody. You're going to pay them 2 coins. If you have the blacksmith, you're actually going to get the 2 coins. And if nobody has the blacksmith, you can still unlock them. You just pay the 2 coins to the bank. So back to the supply, effectively. We also show, we'll have like a little card with a kind of a circle on it, and it'll have a number. So for an example, we've got 2, we've got 10, we've got 6, we've got 8. That's telling you how many cards does that unlock, right? So we already know the Cooper, you needed a blacksmith. Well, there's the blacksmith, and it's telling you there's 10 different cards that require the blacksmith to unlock. We'll also see cards that have coins on them. So essentially what this means is that when you bring them into your village, you're going to actually put 2 coins on them. Simple enough. Then we also have different images, like here that's food, and here we have that's housing. So essentially when you're drafting, you can draft 2 plus 1 for each food up to 5. There's a maximum of 5. And if you don't have food at the end of a round, at the end of a build phase of a round, you're in trouble. You're going to flip this over, and that is going to stay flipped over the entire game. So you want to make sure that you have food showing. Because what will happen is, as you will recruit, you'll draft these cards, they're actually going to lay these cards on top of other cards. So, kind of give you an idea here. Last thing I wanted to mention was the housing. So during the build phase, you can build 2 plus 1 for every housing symbol you have showing, with a maximum of 5. So it's never going to get crazy out of hand where somebody's going to fall like super way behind because you're only building 2 villagers and somebody else is building 10. It's just not going to happen. So I like that fact. I do appreciate that. It helps prevent people from completely running away with the game. One aspect about engine builders that a lot of people run across is that if you're not playing like extremely clever, it's very easy to fall behind, especially in games that have asymmetric play. So this is not asymmetric. This is not asymmetric whatsoever. Granted, yes, you'll have people will have different numbers of drafted cards, different number of build cards eventually, but it's not crazy different. It's not like somebody's turn is going to continue on and on and on and on. All right, so the draft, pretty easy. So what you can do is, so for an example, here are the 5 cards that I got dealt. So I've got a log rafter, I've got a grocer, I've got a spelunker, I've got a fromager, and a vintner. And as you can see, some of these really offer a lot. They offer up a lot of coinage during those market phases. Do want to mention the silver coins are only scored at the second market. All right, so let's say I am the first player. As an example, I've got the first player here. So I would have the opportunity to draft first. So I would sit there and say, well, of course, I really do need to get some basic villagers here, but I kind of like that poulterer. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to draw the poulterer, and it goes here. It goes on your village square. Why didn't it go in my hand? So this way you remember how many cards you've drafted. So in this first round, I would be able to draft 3, right? So I've got 2 plus 1 food. So that's the 1. I am going to replace this from up here. So we get solitary agent. So like I said, we've got special villagers. We've got solitary villagers that are kind of just, they don't need anybody else. But then again, you don't build anything on top of them either. So we've got that. It would be the next person's turn. Then it comes to me and I'll say, okay, so remember, I need a carpenter to be able to drop down this poulterer. But to have a carpenter, I need to get a lumberjack. So it's my turn once again. Whoops. Let's put that poulterer back on top of the village square. I would take a lumberjack. Lumberjack goes right there. Other player takes their turn. It's back to me. And then I'd say, okay, I'm taking the carpenter. Hopefully the carpenter's still there. Because remember, the other player's drafting cards too. You can also draft from up here. The only thing is, you don't know exactly what kind of villager this is going to be. After you've played a little bit, you'll know, okay, oh, well, the grains, oh, okay, I know the 3 different characters that are in the grains. But there's no guarantee you're going to get what you want. But at least you've got an idea. That way, if down here there's nothing that is what you want, you can still go up top. And you can actually draw from any of these. You can decide you want any of these. So as an example, when I took this lumberjack, what I need to do here is I actually have to discard one of the cards that's in my hand. So what I think I'll probably do here is I'll discard the grocer, and it actually will go on top of any one of these that I choose. So I'll go, oh, okay, I'll put it over there. And that's how I add the lumberjack. So it comes back to me again. I say, okay, I'm taking the carpenter. Carpenter goes there. We're going to replace that there. And that would be the end of the drafting. So now we would move to the build phase. And in the build phase, I can build 2 plus 1 for every housing. Well, I don't have any housing, so I'm only going to get to be able to build 2. So when you do the draft, it's going to just go around the table. So it's okay, I draft, you draft, they draft, I draft. When we build, the build all goes at the same, just I do all my building, then it's the next player. And a lot of times you want to keep an eye out how you build stuff, because you can't lay things down in the wrong order. So as an example, I have 2 builds. I would build the lumberjack. So that's 1. I would build the carpenter. So see, this is how you're going to cover them up. So whatever special ability that lumberjack had is gone. Whenever you cover something up, that special ability is gone. Now, if they've got coins on them, the coins are still there. But for an example here, now I've got the carpenter. Now I've got the extra housing. And this is going to unlock 8 different cards. All right, so I still have my poulterer, right? So that's just going to go in my hand. Easy enough. Now, something else I should point out here is, see how this shows it's got 2 stacked on it? So I could stack something like this. That is a completely legal play for me to do that, because I have 2 that can stack, and it's basically the lumberjack, and then it shows the cooper and the carpenter, right? So nothing is going to stack on these. So I can do that. I can do that with the founders as well. Anything that's got 2 like that, I can do. It's also possible that you'll get into a production chain. I know this isn't exactly how these cards work, but they'll end up like that. Just like so. So then you're going to spread out, kind of give you an idea. So we could have, like, here we got the harvester, and then we've got a hayer, and the thatcher goes on top of the hayer, and we got our poulterer over here for on top of the founders. So you're just going to continue to build your village out. Now, when you get to this point here, now you see how we've got the coins on these? So what would happen here is that would have gotten 2. This would have gotten 3. So when we come along to the first market phase, and this card tells you exactly what you're going to do, you're essentially going to count up all your coins and you're going to collect them. You're going to collect your coins. So you're going to get these coins, you're going to add them to your supply and continue moving along. The market phases are really easy. They're very, very simple. So essentially what's going to happen is you're going to go through all the rest of these cards. You're going to continue to build out your village. You're going to get to the end here. You're going to have your second market phase. And you're going to count up both the gold coins as well as the silver coins, which are just coins, right? They're equal. They mean the same thing. It's just that the silver doesn't get counted until the second market. It's only counted one time. The gold gets counted twice. The gold color, like this, gets counted twice. And you're going to just count up all your cash. And as I mentioned before, whoever's got the most is the winner. And in the case of a tie, you're looking at the person who has the fewest villagers in their village and the most cash. And of course, if it's still tied after that, it is a shared victory. All right, that is villagers. Let's swing on over to the other camera. I will share my final thoughts and give this a review score. I have to point out, I have a soft spot for engine building games. I like engine building games. Everdell is one of my favorite from Starling Games. Really, really love that game. Love all the expansions to it as well. There's just something about engine building games that I like, and for some reason they click with me. Villagers is a lot of fun. It is a lot of fun. Strangely enough, and I won't name the member of the gang, found this harder to play than Everdell, which I don't understand how that happened. Because Everdell's got some crunch going on to it. And it's asymmetrical as well. But I don't know. For some strange reason, they were having a hard time with the padlock. How do you unlock this stuff? What do I need to do? Who do I pay on this? Just throwing that out there. I didn't find the game difficult to learn how to play at all. Once everybody has an idea how to play, the game moves along at a very nice clip. We have played it with 4 players, played it with 3. I have not played it with 2 or solitaire, but I can tell you 3 or 4 players plays really nicely. And even though you're adding in the extra suits into the game, it doesn't make the game run any longer. I got to be honest, even with 4 players, it's not a huge difference in gameplay time between 3 and 4. Really isn't, once everybody knows what's going on. So the game moves along at a very nice clip. I enjoy the variety of the various different villagers you can add to your village. Gives each of your villages a little bit of flavor. I thought that's kind of cool. I like that as well. Not a lot of duplication of characters. One thing that I will mention, though, is because you have this other deck, one thing I should point out is at the end of a round, you're going to clear out sometimes all of the villagers in the road, sometimes some of them. And you're going to go through this deck to do it. Do want to mention that it is possible that you're sitting there and you're holding something in your hand that has some prerequisite villagers and you're hoping to see that come up, and it never does. So just so you know, that can happen. But it never completely hamstrings you as you're playing. You're able to just go, okay, well, I guess I'm not going to be able to bring this villager to my village in this game. Oh, well. It helps that you don't have a hand limit. So that's pretty cool, too. Anyway, all in all, component quality is really cool. I love the fact that you've got all these various different ways of playing. You can play solitaire. There's a 2-player game. You've got up to 5 players. I like the component quality. I just like it's got a little meat on its bones, but it's not real crunchy to wrap your head around to play it. As far as any kind of negatives I have, it is kind of weird that it's like gold, but this isn't gold. And it does cause some confusion with people. And I can see why, because you're calling it gold, but the symbol, like there's the silver symbols, that's not gold, but it counts for gold. And then all of these tokens aren't gold. No big deal. But like I said, I could see where there's some confusion coming from that. The artwork's fine. So really, all in all, I got nothing really bad to say about Villagers. I enjoyed it a lot, I should say. Once again, do have to mention, one of the gang did find it difficult to wrap their head around, and they didn't care for it at all. That said, I liked it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I give Villagers an extremely solid 9 out of 10. I think it's that good. Another thing in its favor is it carries an MSRP of $26. There is a lot of gameplay for $26 here, even solitaire gameplay. Although I haven't played it yet. So, but I get the impression it's probably pretty cool. All right. That's it for this time out. Once again, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell. Because not only will it let you know when I upload videos such as this, I'll also tell you when my live stream, The Daily Dope, airs right here on YouTube, Monday through Thursday nights, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. All right, so that is it. And of course, as I've been wrapping up all my videos during this never-ending pandemic, here's hoping that all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.